Hello and welcome to Car Dealer Live. I'm James Baggett, founder of Car Dealer Magazine. Thank you for joining us once again for another episode of this show. Now today, I'm very pleased to welcome Will Blackshaw. Good afternoon, Will.
Yo, you all right?
Very good, thank you very much. Now, Will is the boss of Dealer Group Blackshaw's. He represents Mitsubishi, Suzuki and Nissan in Northumberland across two sites. It's a family-owned business which is 100 years old, and Will is the fourth generation of the Blackshaw's family to join the business. So, Will, let's crack on. Firstly, tell me a little bit about your business.
Well, firstly, I just want to quickly say as well, just my thoughts go out to those who have been affected by this horrible virus. Unfortunately, it is very sad. And at the beginning, I was very blasé about it. And I think reality has really kicked in for a lot of us very, very recently. So, as I say, I just want to express my thoughts and unfortunately condolences to those that have unfortunately lost people in this horrible time. But family business wise, as you say, our business, two sites in the north of Northumberland. We've got a site in the town of Alnwick, which when I say to people, you'll have never heard of it, they always say, yep, Alnwick, I know Alnwick, yep. I've been there to the castle and the gardens, and it's actually quite a famous town, which we represent Mitsubishi, Suzuki and Nissan approved repairer at that site. And then down in the town of Morbith, we have a single site, which is Mitsubishi. That site's got about 10 members of staff, and then probably about 42 at the Alnwick site. So I guess medium-sized business, I guess you'd class us as. And as you rightly said before, running for 100 years now. So never expected to be in this situation during my period, but here we are with this challenging time.
So who's the biggest partner when it comes to franchises out of that lot? Who do you sell the most of?
It's quite a good split, to be honest. Used wise, we do well with Nissan still as a Nissan approved repairer. Mitsubishi, we do well with used, and Suzuki, we're very strong on new. So probably from a new point of view, I'd say Suzuki, and then used, it's probably a third of a third split across the three, topped up with a little bit of non-franchise.
So in terms of those manufacturers, how have they helped you out during this time of crisis?
Suzuki were very quick out the blocks. Again, I was maybe a bit blasé about the whole situation at the beginning, and they were prompting us before I was acting on it, if I'm being totally honest, James, and helping with bringing bonus payments through, which obviously at this time cash is the most important thing to the business survival. And you're sitting there looking at your purchase ledgers, going through everything, thinking, right, where can I get a bit of a delay on payments? Where can I get some extra cash in? Traditionally, we'd see bonus payments back end of the first quarter, back end of April. A lot of that's coming forward quite quickly. Parts bonuses, there's been good support on the funding of vehicles. God forbid some cars potentially would have went fully paid, which wouldn't have been pretty on the bank side of things. So mainly from protecting our cash, bringing cash forward, and ensuring funding supports there is the main things. A few levies have been sort of wavered as well. A few finance bits of software have been wavered. So, if there is any manufacturers staff from Suzuki or Mitsubishi watching this, it is a genuine thank you for helping us in that respect. And Mitsubishi again, very similar with bringing payments forward and helping from a funding point of view. So, they're a business as well at the end of the day, so they kind of just send us blank checks saying, look, there's a chunk of money, which would have been nice, but they've got a business to protect as well. So I think they've done everything that they could have done. And so I think we've got two very good partners. With Nissan, we're a Nissan approved repairer, so there wasn't a lot there that they can do for us, I guess. But I'm sure they are looking after their main dealers as well, I'm sure.
So when did you realise just how serious all this was?
I'll hold my hands up, James, and I was too blasé about it. Trying to go back, I'm trying to remember when every specific dates, and it has been a whirlwind over the last few weeks, to the point where we are waking up wondering what day of the week it is. But I remember when it started being talked about in the press at the beginning, obviously in China, and my mentality was, and again, hold my hands up, was that we're in Alnwick, nothing's going to affect us up here. And then after time, it was in Italy, France, And again, I just didn't believe that it would affect us up here. And then I think on day, there was a few cases mentioned of cases in London. And again, I'm thinking, nah, it's not going to get up here. We then had our board meeting coming up, and my auntie, who looks after our HR marketing, said, look, I think we should discuss this coronavirus. So we added on the agenda. And again, I was like, oh, the whole thing's blown out of proportion. So we said, look, let's get some hand sanitizer, get some extra wipes, some gloves, etc. So that was showing willingness, because I just didn't believe it was as big and a problem as what it was. So we had the meeting, and then that night, I'll be honest, I was lying in bed watching television with my son, who's 3. And sorry, I get a bit emotional at this point. And I'm looking at him thinking, I don't know how bad this will get, but no matter what happens, I need to make sure that there's food on his table, and for his sister, and for their mum. And I don't care what I've got to do, I'll make sure that happens. If I've got to starve, if I've got to take no pay, I'll make sure that the stuff them are looked after. And then I started thinking about the staff and thinking, well, what about X in the workshop, the lady on front desk, etc. Thinking, what do these people need at this time? What's important to them? Because the staff we've got have looked after me, my sister, my family very well, and we've got a duty to look after these guys as well. But I still just didn't think it was going to become a big issue. And then we started getting the odd cancellation on the service desk. Web stats started declining a little bit, and I thought, this is going to be quiet off. But I didn't think we'd be shutting the business. So then the announcement came about the schools closing, and I'm thinking, right, that's a bit of an inconvenience. And then I think it was a Friday where it was announced about the likes of restaurants, cinemas, that sort of thing. I'm sure it was a Friday.
Yeah.
And that furlough would be there to support people. And I'm thinking, well, we're not going to shut. It's as simple as that. We're going to be all right. It's a shame for them businesses, but Blackshaw's will not be closing. And then we got the weekend out the way, and the Monday, we'd had a staff meeting saying, look, guys, we're there to support people. We know certain people will need certain support. Some people might need financial support. Some people might need childcare support. We've got a young lad who's got a breathing sort of issue, who will need 3 months off to protect him, which, it's important. And still at this time, James, it hadn't sunk in for me, if I'm being totally honest.
This is on that Monday, the 23rd, before.
Yeah, correct. And then it was that night, I'll be honest, not a pretty sight, but I was lying in the bath, and the announcement came where it's lockdown, and my phone just never stopped pinging from all the staff. What's happening? What do we do? And I just hadn't prepared for it, because I just didn't expect this to be the scenario. And I was trying my hardest to text and get in touch with my sister to say, look, we need to have a chat about this. But every second, ping, friends from other businesses messaging, what are you doing? And I think, rabbit in the headlights springs to mind. And finally got in touch with my sister. I said, look, let's buy ourselves a couple of weeks. Let's close the business. I hadn't read up on furlough, so I wasn't aware of 3 weeks. I'm just being totally honest here. And it's on the Tuesday. We said to the staff, look, we understand some people will be uncomfortable coming in, and if you can come in to help us shut the business down, it would be appreciated. So we had a lot of staff appear on the Tuesday, and we just started ringing customers. The sales guys were terrific, and still to this day, I've never seen teamwork as good as what I saw on that Tuesday, and it was an absolute testament to the staff, to the point where I had nothing to do. They just took over. I was trying to help, but to be honest, I was probably just getting in the way. The guys were fantastic. The customers were fantastic about how they were responding to what we were saying. And I think reality then kicked in that, this isn't just about financial survival of the business. This is people's lives we're talking about now. And I sort of regret not being more organized and sort of being prepared. I was in denial. But I think we shut the business down on that Tuesday extremely well and very, very professionally. A couple of the guys helped on the Wednesday, Thursday, Friday to tidy up some loose ends. took a bit of a gamble with the MOT thing being extended, because obviously it happened with HGV. We had some people due MOTs booked over the next 2 weeks. And I was quietly confident that that would come off, which it did. And I know workshops can stay open, but I just felt we weren't organised, and I didn't feel comfortable that our staff was safe enough for us to keep operating. We needed to sort of buy ourselves a little bit of time, and we're now looking to reopen it at a time, but we're writing risk assessments and really thinking it through. And when you do go for your daily shopping or whatever, I think we can learn quickly from what some of the supermarkets are doing, with some of the way they're operating their checkouts. With you can relay that to your desks, the queuing systems, the way they've got signage on the floor, the little feet and stuff. So I think the stuff we can learn from that, so that when the time is right to reopen, we can do it very professionally, but most importantly safely for our staff, because that's the most important thing, protecting them staff and their families, really.
Well, it sounds like it. I've got quite a few questions on a number of those, but I'm just going to jump quickly to a question that's just come in from Paul C778, snappy title. Did you see a spike up in completion of sales just before the lockdown, he asked?
No, because we went from business as normal to literally shutting over the next morning. We were closed. So our sales rate was tracking nicely. It's a shame because we were having a really strong Q1. So it was a shame. And don't get me wrong, March still finished very, very well. But no, we didn't see any pressure. The customers that were due to collect vehicles have been patient and said, look, they're happy to wait. We've got some still to deliver. We didn't deliver any cars after that. We just said, look, we're pausing. As I say, most of our customers, if not all of them, have been very understanding and patient. And yesterday, I blame Scott Sibley from Redgate Lodge for inspiring me to go and start jet washing some of the compound bays, which was soul destroying. And we've got a queue of cars sitting there waiting to be delivered. But I made sure I went over and re-washed them to keep on top of them. But to answer the question, no, we didn't see a rise at the end. And sadly, we have seen a slight decline, well, quite a large decline in web traffic. So I don't think it's people aren't going to buy cars when we get back. I think people are just accepting that we've got this time at the minute and utilising that time to do different things.
What about people pulling out of deals that are already agreed? Have you seen any of that?
Touch wood, no. We've had a few inquiries. I've been monitoring the online inquiries from a sales point of view. We've got a lady who's been terrific and working part-time, looking after the after-sales calls. We've got it linked up nicely with the Money Penny call centre, who are then filtering them through to myself or the other lady, and so that we're making sure that customers are still being contacted where. But we've got one, actually on the first day, I had somebody just desperate to buy an L200 that we had, and he was just saying, look, I'll come and buy it today. And I said, look, I don't know if it's been through the workshop, it's not been validated, I need to know it's safe. And I just said, look, can you just give it? And she was just desperate to buy it that day. But I think that was more her panic buying than a genuine wanting to buy a car because she fancied one. So sales-wise, we're just not a lot's happening now, to be honest. It's went very quiet, but I'm confident that when we do get round to opening, there'll be the hyped up demand ready to get going again.
So have you managed to operate at all during this time? I mean, is it just yourself taking those inquiries?
Myself taking the internet inquiries, telephone calls fired through from Money Penny. I'm speaking to most people, just trying to understand where they're at, updating them with where we're at, answering what questions I can, giving valuations of what I think their part exchange is worth at this stage. We've got, as I say, the lady doing looking after the after sales. My sister's also working from home, and our accountant, because obviously we wanted to make sure that the cash was protected, and obviously doing a very detailed financial forecast for April. So from a business point of view, no, but again, it sounds like I'm trying to sell Money Penny here, but the Money Penny messages are coming through. We had a lady who had recently bought an Outlander PHEV, and the charging cable had broken. So I made sure I went and met her and left her a spare one. We're getting contacted from nurses, etc., wanting seat covers, like I think we all have. So we're helping people where we can. So I wouldn't say we're completely shut, but any customers that need help are getting that, and we are contactable in that respect. So I think we're doing everything we can do professionally and most importantly safely.
So have you've obviously had to take advantage of the furlough scheme. How many staff have you got on that?
I think we've got 55 staff minus 4 of us, so 51. Again, I know there's a bit of confusion with it, and a lot of content, and the commissions thing obviously opened a bag of worms, but we knew what we wanted to do pretty much straight away. But our concern was we didn't want to then go contacting our staff saying, look, this is what's happening, and then see things had changed again. Obviously, been reading the Gov website, and I think it's changed 3 times since the first time it went up. So we're trying to just make sure that when we do contact the staff, that we're only contacting once with one clear message. But as I said back to the beginning, when I looked at my son and thought he needs food on his table, our salesmen, they've been very loyal to us. That our salesmen don't go jumping from showroom to showroom, and it's our opportunity to thank them salesmen and protect them and their families. And looking at we've got 6 salesmen across the 2 sites, and each one's probably got different circumstances of what support they need. As I said at the beginning, everyone needs some different support right now. So we know what we want to achieve, but I think it's just being cautious that we present that in a clear message. But I've spoke to the guys, the ones that are concerned, and said, look, you will be looked after. We will make sure that you're protected one way or another. But we just want that one clear, precise message to the guys.
I mean, the commission thing has caused some confusion. I wrote a piece this morning on the Cardigan magazine website about it, and the fact that a lot of dealers are still not including commissions, despite the government instruction that you can do that. I spoke to the boss of one big dealer group this morning, who's since that announcement came out, he's taken the average earnings over the last 12 months of all his sales staff, and they're going to be paying them an average over the last 12 months, which is the fairest way to do it. I find it quite shocking that a lot of dealers out there still not doing that. I know cash flow is tough, but right now people need to do what you're doing, and that's look after their sales staff more than ever.
I can picture one salesman. He's got 2 young kids. They need food. It's just simple, it sounds a bit blunt, but we are talking life and death from this virus point of view, and the thought of people not having food or being able to afford food. Like we're seeing a lot of charities now in the local area crying out for help, because these people need help, and we've got to protect the business and make sure there's a business for people to come back to. But we've got to put the numbers to the side and make sure people are living a life at this stage. And the way I look at it is, okay, there might be a bit of pain during April, May, June, but we've got a lot of years ahead of us to catch up with things. So we may all miss out on holidays this year, bits and pieces, but if we get it right at the minute and do the sensible stuff at the minute, we've got a lot of years ahead of us all to catch up with all these bits and pieces. So I think people are needing looked after right now, and as I say, our salesmen have been very, very loyal to us, so we've got a duty to look after them at the minute, and all staff.
Absolutely. When it comes to the suppliers you do business with, anybody particularly looked after you? I mean, that must be a large proportion of your costs going out of these suppliers.
There's been some begging emails going out asking for some help, but it'd be nice to sit there and list them all off. Obviously, don't want to get into the whole debate about Auto Trader, but Chris Penny, I spoke to him. Ironically, he was on holiday at the same time, just around the corner from us, but we couldn't go for a beer due to isolation, unfortunately. But obviously, the guys were very quick out the blocks there. Automotive Compliance were very good. Pinewood Pinnacle offering a discount, down to the likes of, we use FIFO for our online reviews. They've helped us out. So everyone's been terrific, but it's a shame because I think what I've realised as well is you start missing some of the guys as well. Our oil rep from Morris Lubricants, used to bring me Red Bull and pies, and I'm sure she will do once we're open, but you start missing out on the human element. So not just financial, it's the communication and the relationships suddenly disappear, and you don't realize how much you miss them. The manufacturers, I said, have been great. Code Weavers have been excellent as well, pulling forward their checkout system, which we've sort of got a soft launch going with our website on that. That's been a good thing. I don't think there's any supplier that hasn't come to the party, to be honest, and I'm probably going to get some grief for not mentioning some of them now that I've missed out there, but apologies in advance for that.
I think you covered a fair few there, Will. What about your business in the future? I mean, how do you think your business will change because of this?
I personally don't think it'll change too much. I think I'll kind of go back to answer in a second, but when the isolation thing got announced, and for people with young kids who've maybe watched the film The Trolls, where the Bergens go around all grumpy, I thought there'd be this. I thought humans would start find this really difficult, which I'm sure people are, sadly. But when you do get to go out for your daily exercise, everyone's just so smiley, happy, keeping the 1 meter social, 2 meter distance. So when I do go out for my shopping, etc., I think as humans we've maybe realised that we took a lot for granted, and I think we're now realising what's important, and I think we're a lot more, we're learning to be patient, a little bit more relaxed, but I think we'll be very cautious of how we physically interact and being close to each other. So I think people will be a bit sort of cautious. Sadly, handshake, and I think might have disappeared forever, but I think our business should just continue as normal, I would hope. I think there'll be a lot more caution, as I say, from a physical element, and I think we'll see a bit more digital inquiries. But will people want to go shopping in big shopping centres, or will they actually enjoy going down to the forecourt and having a look around in some space and fresh air? I think there might be a little bit of positive come out of this as well. That's what I'm hoping. But we've got a very, very strong after sales business, a very good database of loyal customers. So as long as we've got the time to spend talking to these people, I think we should, and I'm confident we will be okay.
What are you doing now to prepare for the upside when it does come?
The main thing, as I said earlier, we're using in fact, it's the logistics HR system for writing a risk assessment, because again, I'm guilty of not being prepared for closing, so I need to be very prepared for opening. So we're making sure that we do a very strong risk assessment, and taking this time that we've got at the minute to prepare for it. I know people are pretty conscious of people using their cars coming into the dealership, so we know that we'll have to add resource to collection and delivery, which we're already prepared for that. I think people will be conscious as well of, do I really need to get my car serviced? Will people not use the word abuse, but take advantage of the 6-month MOT extension, which is a potential risk to businesses? Because if everyone just updates their DMS systems for 6 months' time, potentially we're going to have this big gap of no MOTs, not just next year, the year after, and the year after, because new car sales will be a challenge. There's no doubt about it. So it's important that we spend time speaking to customers and trying to make sure they come in for when we're meant to for service and MOTs. So again, some resource will have to be put into that, because just sending a text or an email or a generated letter will not get the message across, I don't think. So I think some extra resource needs put in that direction as well, which we're aware of, and we're planning for that as well. So that basically just got to get cash coming back in, James, really.
And I suppose finally, Will, what has this crisis taught you, if anything?
Taught me. First thing it's taught me is I kind of indicate left when I'm on my bicycle, because I fall off. I got back on my bike, and I just go places where I can only turn right now, because I manage that. But if I try and turn left, indicate left, with my right hand I fall off. That was the first thing I learned. But I think patience, and you're sitting there at home with it and feeling, I need to do something. And then it's actually all right to sit there and do nothing and relax, recharge your batteries. So if it's taught me anything, it's probably been a little bit more patient, and really appreciating what you have got in life, and not getting too hung up on the financial numbers. And it comes down to the people that's important to you, I guess. But one bit of fun as well. It's trying to put a bit more fun in communication with the guys, because back to the Monday night when I was lying in the bath trying to speak to all the staff via text, and to be honest, I got out of the bath, I was like a little shriveled prune. I'd been in that long, trying to reply to all these people. Wasn't pretty, I tell you. So we set up some software where we can now interact with all the staff via text message, and there's various platforms out there, and I'm sure many businesses have been doing it for a while. I'm sure we're not the first business to think of that, but what we started the other night for a bit of fun was we've called it isolation bingo. So all the staff are involved, and every night we ask them a question, and if the answer is yes, basically you're out. So last night's question was, have you used a jet wash to clean your patio, pathway or garden furniture? So a few people are now out in round 2s tonight, so we're thinking of a stereotypic isolation question for tonight's round. And then once everyone's out, we've got a winner. I don't know what we'll give them. It'll probably just be an out-of-date Easter egg or something, but then we'll start another round. So I think back to your question, what I learned is, keep interacting, keep talking. I was very guilty over the years of not talking about how I felt. I know Ben as a charity has always been very good to us, and I think we'll probably rely on that charity a lot more back end of this year. But talk to people is probably the biggest thing. Don't sit there. It's too easy to get stuck on your phone, especially at the minute, with social medias and stuff. Pick up the phone traditionally and have a good conversation. Every other night I'm ringing somebody that I haven't spoken to for a while. Unfortunately, there's not much to talk about, but pick that phone up and use it how a phone should be used. It's not designed for social media, it's designed for physically talking to people. So I think that's probably the biggest thing. Talk to people and be patient, James. I think it's the 2 lessons I've taken from this.
Will, thank you very, very much for your time today. You've clearly got a fantastic business there, and and staff that you truly, truly care about, and that has to be absolutely applauded. I wish you absolutely all the best when it comes to getting out this the other side, and I hope you and everybody stay safe and healthy. A massive thank you to Will for joining us today. I've got some brilliant Car Dealer Lives coming up over the next few weeks. If you'd like to get involved, you can email me, james@blackbullmedia.co.uk, or you can find me on Twitter @CarDealerEd or LinkedIn, send me a message and we can get something organised. For the rest of this week, there's been a slight change of plan to the schedule. Tomorrow, I've managed to get Mike Jones from Accountants ASE Global to join us to talk in detail with the logistics team about how car dealers can include commissions in those furlough payments to staff. There's a lot of confusion out there about that at the moment. We want to clear some of that up to make sure staff get paid what they're due. And on Thursday, I'll be talking talking consumer data with Anton Hanley and the team from TLA, who have some interesting insight into what buyers want right now. And lastly, I'm really excited to say that on Tuesday, just after Easter break, I'll be chatting to Ford of Britain's chairman and managing director, Andy Barrett. Managed to sort that out today. We've chopped things around a little bit. He's going to be joining us on Tuesday, so that should be a bit of a cracker. I've published a full updated schedule, on our website, but check back every weekday, midday on cardealermagazine.co.uk for the next live broadcast. Thanks again to Will today for joining us, and I'll see you all tomorrow. Goodbye.